Hello YouTubers, welcome back to the Paul Hamler channel. I've been away for a while, but I thought I'd do something a little different here today. Hopefully you'll enjoy it, and I can warn you ahead of time, we're probably going to have some shaky shots because there's going to be some handheld shots in here as I walk around the shop. But I got to thinking the other day, a lot of guys would come up and see me and hadn't seen me in a while and say, hey, what have you been working on? So, you know, as a net result of that question, I ended up giving them a shop tour and showing them some projects that I'm working on. So I thought I'd do kind of a similar video. We're going to call it What's Happening in the Shop this week. So with that said, I'm going to reposition the camera and we'll just walk around the shop and take some video shots of different projects that I'm working on and kind of give you an overview of what's happening. So with that, let me move. 1911s. It's not really a high priority on my completion list, as the people that are waiting on them can attest to. But anyway, here's a little picture of some of the almost finished ones, and the one on the left will be the actual color of the finished gun with the Colt logos engraved on them, and this particular one has a mother pearl handle. The one to the left has a rosewood handle with Colt inlaid in it with silver, and then we have it was just a test run on the CNC mill to verify that I could do the checkering on the CNC mill. And anyways, we're making progress on this project. I'll walk over and show you the parts that are waiting to go together. Okay, here we go. We got pans full of parts. This is all the castings, the internal castings that go into the 1911. We're actually at a point where we're ready to sit down and start assembling the guns. Hopefully we'll get on that next week. Now we'll go in a second and take a quick look at a machine I built a few weeks back. I refer to as a Q building machine. And looking at the screen here, here's a model that I drew in a solid modeling program of an 8-point Q stick. This is kind of a concept model, and I figured if I could draw it, I could build it. And now that I've got the drawing done, I've got a couple of different ideas on how I'm going to fabricate the Q. What we're looking at here are there's a 6-point and some 4-point Qs that I put together years ago. But the 8-point is going to be a little more complex, and we'll probably end up doing a video on that. Now, moving over to the other computer screen here, what you see here is a view of a Monarch 10EE. Sometimes they refer to it as a Art Deco lathe. This lathe was manufactured, I think, as early as 1936. They're highly desirable, very collectible, but it's one of the finest user lathes in the machining industry. A lot of guys will prefer these over a Harding's HLV, but you know, everybody has their own taste. But the picture here of the the Monarch 10EE, if you Google Monarch 10EE images, you'll see some of the various colors that the people would paint them in. Looking at now a model, I say a model, the gray machine in the back was manufactured out in California back in the 50s. They were manufactured under various names. This particular one here was a oh God, I can't ever remember the name of it. It'll come to me in a minute, having a senior moment. Anyways, it was sort of kinda a copy of the Monarch. They took a lot of liberties, but this was actually a functional lathe, and didn't have a lot of power, but it's got a rack and pinion. The half nut can engage and power feed the carriage. Tailstock works. Doesn't have a lot of power, but they were eventually put out of business, I believe, by Unimat, who made a much more functional, powerful, lathe for the miniatures. What I'm going to do is next year's miniature project, and I just roughed out a core. This is 1/10 scale. The actual the lathe in the background, the Manson is the name of mine. The Manson lathe is 1/12 scale. I'm thinking about doing mine 1/10, but I haven't locked it into concrete yet. I recently bought a clunker. It's out in the back of the shop, so I will actually have a Monarch to use as a model when I'm building the miniature. My goal is to put the same function in my miniature Monarch 10EE as you have in this Manson. It won't be a full function, but it will do the basics. So again, my goal is once I get the Monarch 10EE miniature built, is be able to put it on the desktop, screensaver, whatever, and without any scale reference, you should be able to look at it and not tell that it's a miniature. That was what I was trying to accomplish on the little miniature Wilton vices. So if I can pull it off, it's going to be quite a exciting project. But again, we won't start on this until next year. My plate's pretty full right now, but look forward to it, and we'll document several of the build items as we're going through this project next year. Okay, working our way around the shop, what we're looking at here on the far right is a Stanley number 607 with a scraper insert in it. I built these years ago. To the left of that was my patent model for an insert that would drop into a jack plane, and then to the left of that was the actual production model that Lee Valley Veritas 2 was manufactured and sold for a while. And then it's one of my Stanley 212s that I did with the modified adjustment mechanism on it. So getting everything set up, these are out on the table. My next video, I'm going to do a overview and with some detail of how I went about manufacturing this product. This is the product, the scraper insert, which, you know, sadly now they're sold out, they're not available, and I'm contemplating possibly going back and starting a second run. But what you see here is to the left, these were the models made out of butterboard, and the waxes that came out of the molds. And maybe in this video we'll show you a quick shot of how I injected these waxes for this project. The aluminum model here was a quick 2 or 3 hour afternoon project to verify that this concept would work. And the reason I say that, what got me started on the project is this plane in the rear here. And this was done years ago, and I used a hinge and brazed on some tabs and fabricated the insert to drop into a Stanley number 7. The brass piece up front was just cut out of brass stock and shaped and sculpted. And what happened is so many people would see this and they would want to borrow it. And, you know, I'd loan it out and it'd take months to get it back. So finally I said, well, I'm just going to quit loaning this out, and I think it might be a good product. So it was, and it's served its usefulness, and hopefully we might make them again. Anyway, you know, sometimes I do fun stuff, like my little hammer here. I don't know if you can get a shot of that. The sunlight's killing us here. There we go. Ah, come on. Works perfect till I put it on camera. Oh well, I think I got some hot glue on it. There we go. We'll edit the failure out on the front of it. So sometimes you just have to take a day off and make stuff that you feel like making. That's what happened here. Now, project that I'm still working on is the Abe Lincoln and the Raven axis. These are going to be half scale, And these are the photo etchings that I did, or the electro etchings that I did with the machine, you know, in front of them. And they're going to be half scale. And I was fascinated by the Raven logo. It was quite a neat logo. So one day, took the day off and engraving. I actually engraved a miniature toy hatchet with that logo. Pretty hard to see here, but the lettering, the smallest lettering on this engraving was 16 thousandths, and it was just a challenging engraving job one day. There's some amplifiers, some stepper amplifiers. I did some upgrades for a customer that wanted new technology amplifiers. I gutted the old ones here and put new ones in. Back when I first got into CNC, these amplifiers would run you $100, $200. You're looking at $17 there today. Amazing technology. Okay, thought we'd take a commercial break here, put in a plug for A-Bomb 69, Adam Booth. I'm sure all of you know his channel. Adam did a little testimonial on these orange gloves that he's always using, and I bought them, found them off of Amazon. Fantastic, rugged. I think they're 8 mil thick, and they're good for keeping your hands clean when you're working with chemicals, etc. And if you've got a sister-in-law you don't get along with sometimes, that doesn't like you when she comes to visit, I made something up special for her, and I'll share it with you. And I'll also share it with the folks out there that don't like my videos and give me a thumbs down. This is for all of you. Have a nice day. Let's continue the tour. Okay, walking around the shop here. We're looking at a wax injector that I made for shooting large wax pieces that the jewelry injectors typically won't handle. And one of the advantages of this injector, it has like a 5-inch air cylinder down below the base of the machine, and it has caulking canisters that are filled with wax. We'll take a shot of it later and maybe do a demonstration and inject. I'll set the camera on the tripod. But this is the wax injector machine, and we'll do, like I said, a demo of it here in a few minutes. Okay, this is the Q building machine fabricated by doing a marriage of a Walker Turner 12-inch wood lathe with some modern technology. And that is, I took a gantry, XYZ small gantry CNC mill, took the base off of it, and mounted it on some linear rails that straddle the bed of the Walker Turner wood lathe. We put a stepper motor down on the headstock to use it for indexing, and there will be a router mounted right here that will do the cutting as the stock is rotating, or in some cases when we're doing inlays, there'll be a temporary base set up, and it will serve as a 3-axis mill for doing pocketing and cutting inlays for the Q-stick. This little, I think it's like 13, 14 inches span on the X-axis, extremely well built by ISO, and I think they're made in, I don't know if they're made in Germany or the USA. Anyway, quite a machine. What I'm going to do now, I've got all the fabrication, and the machine is complete. I'm in the process of wiring up and building the amplifiers that's going to run the stepper and servo motor. And I'll put the camera on the tripod, and I've got a 12-volt DC supply hooked up to it, and I'll turn it on, and you can watch the Y-axis movement of the machine. Okay, we're going to plug in or turn on the power supply and watch the motion. This is a very slow run. because of the low voltage I'm running the servo motor on. But you get the idea. So coupled with the y-axis movement that you just observed, we will also have z-axis and a-axis movement of the rotary table. So the machine will be able to articulate and pick up most any profile in finishing off the shafts or cutting out the blanks for the forearms and the butts of the cue sticks. What we're looking at here is a plywood box that's got insulation, half-inch insulation all around it on the inside. There's a light bulb, I think it's a 100-watt light bulb inside. I have a digital temperature controller on the outside. There's a thermocouple that goes in the base of the box down at the bottom. And this box is where I load up my reserve waxes that I'm going to use in the wax injection machine we were just looking at. And I'll take the top off of this. And one of the advantages of having the wax injection machine is that we can shoot the waxes at quite a lower temperature than that are meant to be shot at, and thus prevents a lot of shrinkage and all when the waxes are cooling. Okay, here's a shot of the box with the top removed, and what you have down in here is the capacity to hold spare cartridges. And like I said, they look very similar to a caulking canister. There's a double O-ring inside of them, and you melt the wax and pour it in here, and then when it cools, you leave it in the box, and it keeps it at I think I've got it set for 140 degrees. So when your machine runs out of wax, it's simply a matter of coming over here to the box, taking a new one out and inserting it removing the empty one and inserting a fresh one into the box. Okay, what you see here is the mold that we're going to inject, or one similar. It's one of the parts for the scraper insert, and the inserts were poured into a matched pair of aluminum cavities, and the black material is it's a steel epoxy steel mold material, and you can use a DevCon or aluminum filled aluminum composition. The reason I chose the steel filled epoxy, they're much more durable. They take a little longer to cool, but the molds themselves are much more durable. So what we'll do is set up here and inject one, then we'll take a look at it. Okay, getting ready to stick a mold in there and inject the wax. What we have is about 25 psi on the cylinder, the air cylinder. So the wax in the canister is being compressed, it's under pressure, and the black ball you see there is a handle on the ball valve. When I open the ball valve, the wax will be free to come out. I'll you see how the wax is coming out when I open the ball valve. So what we'll do is we'll stick this guy here. Now, because of the ratio, the mechanical advantage, and the pressure that I have, it only is going to take a second for this guy to fill. So when I open the ball valve and the wax it's full, turn it off. Let's go ahead and do a second mold while we got the camera set up here. Open the ball valve. I mean, it's full. Shut it off. So we've got two molds that we injected. We'll let them cool for a minute, and we'll open it up. Open them up and take a look at them. If they don't work, I'll shoot another one and do it off camera. Okay, the mold's cooled down. We've removed the screws, pull the core pin, and there we go. There's our blue wax for the lever cap. Okay, while we're waiting on the waxes to cool, take a look at a few other things in the area here that might be of interest. What we're looking at here is another one of the little isotel small mills. And what I did is I set it up to CNC, the Kentucky long rifle stocks. The travel on the x-axis, y-axis, how you got it configured, was not long enough, so I fabricated a longer bed out of longer linear rails and a lead screw. And what we've got here is there's 3 fixtures that I use for machining the long rifles. The one on the right is oriented so you machine the bottom of the stock. You just put a rough sawn bandsaw stock in there to machine the bottom. The second fixture you transfer it over and machine the top of the rifle. And then the third fixture is for doing the 2 sides. You do the first side being held down with strap clamps, and then you put it in the gray material, which is called thermal lock, and that holds it locked in while you're doing the 4th machining of the operation. Over here to the left is a blank that's been bandsawed. The one in the center, 3 operations have been done, and then the 4th one, the complete rifle's been machined and a little stain put on it just so it would show up. So, pretty neat little machine. Bought 2 of them. Took me a year to figure out what to use the second one for, and that was what I used on the Q lathe. Now, moving around here, there's my ultrasonic cleaner. I figured out it was really good for removing investment off of my sprues so I could recycle and reuse the aluminum bronze. Standing up here on the bench, I don't know if I can get it all in, is a humongous spindle. That was a spindle that came out of my purchased Monarch 10EE that I'm going to be using for my model. Of course, I didn't need the spindle, but I figured I'd get it out of the weather and not leave it outside. What I thought I'd do is take a little walkthrough in the office here, show you a few projects again that I'm working on. Notice the pool table, the rail skirts are missing, and the reason being I've found a manufacturer that was able to replicate the inlay border that I never had when I restored the table. So here's a sample of one of the pieces of inlay. It was manufactured, and it's a pretty darn dead ringer for the bottom inlay. So I farmed it out to a buddy of mine that's got a large veneer press, vacuum press, and he's in the process of inlaying these inlays into my rail skirts. As I hear, I think Keith showed a picture of this on when Keith Rucker did the shop tour. This is a hammocker slammer. Most people look at it, think it's a piece of furniture that's waiting to be restored, but in actuality, it's a workbench. And here's a picture of the workbench in the hammocker slammer catalog. We're talking 1850 vintage, and they sold it in 2 configurations. You could buy it completely stocked with tools, or just buy the cabinet. And what I've done here, a project, is the top kept warping on the original top that was not paneled. But they made them and offered them with a paneled inserted top. So what I did is I cut the old top up, and you see the white oak for the panel inserts are white oak. And all I could get a hold of in quarter sawn oak was red oak. So the challenge is going to be is to stain the white oak and the red oak and try to get it somewhere near the patina of the color of the original. But it was, you know, quite often in furniture manufacturing they would mix the wood, red oak and white oak. I was short a couple of the handles and the pulls, and the one in the rear is the original, and then this is the castings, the reproduction castings I did in yellow brass. This was been polished. Here's some extra castings that have not been. This is pretty much raw castings right out of the investment or flask. Anyway, just another little project I'm working on to keep me busy. Okay, with that we're going to call it a wrap. Hope you enjoyed it and get a little bit better idea of what goes around this madhouse. And if you liked it, give me a like. If you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe. And for you guys that didn't like the video, you remember the orange glove. Have a nice day.